Ah, that opening riff. Those grinding E notes that hit like a freight train barreling through your chest, dragging you straight into the heart of rock's primal scream. It's the kind of sound that still makes spines tingle decades later. A timeless beast that refuses to fade, no matter how many playlists it's buried in. But beneath that swaggering groove lies a tangled web of blues theft, psychedelic mishaps, and enough courtroom drama to make even the most hardened roadie sweat. Stick around, because we're peeling back the layers on Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love, the track that didn't just define an era, it exploded it wide open, leaving shards of influence everywhere from stadium stages to supermarket aisles. Picture Jimmy Page in the summer of '68, lounging on his houseboat along the River Thames, fiddling with his guitar like some mad alchemist brewing up thunder. That's where the riff was born, or so the legend goes. A chugging monster that Page claims popped fully formed from his fingers. No stage improv needed, thank you very much. John Paul Jones begs to differ, swearing it evolved from their epic jams on Dazed and Confused during early gigs, but Page shuts that down faster than a bad acid trip. Either way, this wasn't some pristine creation. It was marinated in the blues, pulling from the raw one-chord drone of guys like John Lee Hooker and Howlin' Wolf. And let's not forget the bass doubling that riff in a lower octave, Jones mirroring Page's bends like a shadowy twin, making it sound twice as massive through that solid-state amp. It's rock lingo 101, unison strings bent just enough to wobble your eardrums. But oh, the lyrics, those steamy lines that Plant belts out like he's confessing sins in a confessional booth turned bordello. You need coolin', baby, I'm not foolin'. I'm gonna send you back to schoolin'. Sound familiar? That's because Robert Plant wasn't exactly reinventing the wheel. He was joyriding on Willie Dixon's. Dixon penned You Need Love back in '62 for Muddy Waters, a Chess Records gem dripping with erotic urgency. Woman, you need love, you've got to have some love. Muddy growls it over a slinky groove, all yearning and burning. Fast forward to '66 and the Small Faces, those cheeky mods, flip it into You Need Loving, with Steve Marriott howling lines so close to Plant's, you'd think they shared a lyric sheet. Plant and Page caught their gigs and boom, inspiration strikes. Or plagiarism, depending on who you ask. What if Marriott had trademarked his whale? We'd have whole lot of litigation instead. Imagine the courtroom solos. Now slide into the studio chaos where this beast took shape. April '69, Olympic Studios in London. Page producing like a wizard with a grudge against silence. They lay down the basics. Bonham's drums thundering in that cavernous room, mics dangling 8 feet high on a boom, another pair way off to the side, and one right up on the bass drum like it owed him money. George Chakiance, the engineer, hoisted the kit on a platform for that epic boom, every stick hit slicing through like a knife. Then comes the freak-out section at 120, that psychedelic whirlwind where everything unravels. Page twiddles knobs with Eddie Kramer, Plant hitting those ah moans that could wake the dead, or at least make your neighbors blush. Fun fact, that distant vocal echo at the 4-minute mark? Way down inside, woman, you need love. It wasn't planned. It was a happy accident from a vocal bleed into the guitar track. Microphonic induction turning a glitch into gold. They slapped reverb on it, and voila! Backward echo magic, one of the first times it hit tape. Obscure nugget. Listen close to the start, and you'll catch Plant clearing his throat. A little cough or chuckle that sneaks in like a nervous tick before the storm. What if they edited it out? The song might have lost its raw edge, sounding too polished like a shark without teeth. Speaking of raw, let's talk the theremin, Page's secret weapon, though it didn't make the studio cut. In live shows, he'd whip it out for the freakout, waving his hands near those antennae to conjure eerie wails that panned left to right, fuzzing through the speakers like a UFO landing. But in the mix, it's all guitar detuning and string pulling, Plant's vocals pushed to extremes. And don't get me started on the 8-track version. Extra space meant they padded it with non-stop love-making groans, turning your car stereo into a peep show. Tangent. Ever wonder if Bonham's groans in those drum rolls were from exertion or just him channeling the blues? The guy's sticks hit harder than a hangover. Fast forward to the album Saga, Led Zeppelin 2, that sophomore slab dropped in October '69 like a bomb on the rock world. They recorded it piecemeal on the road, snatches in London, Hollywood at A&M Studios while touring like maniacs. Page mixed it in New York, Kramer spotting what he thought was tape bleed on Plant's vocals. But nah, it was that induction ghost adding echo they couldn't erase. They leaned into it, making the whole thing sound otherworldly. The album's a beast, opens with this track, clocks in at 5:33 of pure adrenaline. Launch drama? Atlantic pushes it as a single in the US on November 7th, edited down to 3:12 for radio, chopping the freakout to keep DJs happy. B-sides Living Loving Maid, but Whole Lotta Love climbs to number 4 on Billboard. Their only top 10 hit stateside, certified gold. No UK single though. Peter Grant, their Bulldog manager, yanked initial pressings, hating the idea of diluting the album vibe. Imagine if he'd let it fly. We'd have tea-sipping Brits blasting it in pubs, turning high tea into high decibels. But the real drama brews years later. 1985, Willie Dixon sues over those lifted lyrics. Settled out of court, undisclosed sum, and Dixon's name slapped on credits for good. He funneled the cash into instruments for schools. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade, or in this case, the Lemon Song into charity. Plant later shrugs it off. Page's riff was Page's riff. I just thought, what am I going to sing? A nick now happily paid for. Satirical swipe. In the 60s, borrowing was the game. But you only get busted when you're swimming in cash. What if Dixon had caught wind earlier? Zeppelin might have been led lawsuit, touring courtrooms instead of arenas. Ascent to legend kicks in hard. First live spin, April 26, '69, Winterland Ballroom in San Fran, as an encore in an 11-song set. From there, it becomes their closer, stretching into marathon medleys that swallow blues classics whole. Picture this, Plant yells "Way Down Inside," and they dive into John Lee Hooker's "Boogie Chillin'," Wanda Jackson's "Let's Have a Party," even "Twist and Shout," or Ben E. King's "Fortune Teller." The '72 How the West Was Won version clocks 23 minutes. The '71 Osaka bootleg hits 32, a sweat-soaked epic. By '70, they're the knobs in Copenhagen to dodge a Zeppelin family lawsuit. Noble blood didn't dig the name. And that riff? Voted greatest ever by BBC Radio 2 listeners in 2014, topping Guns N' Roses and AC/DC. Page's wah-wah solo lands at 17 on Guitar World's Greatest Wah list. Jack White calls the Freakout the best solo ever. Live, it was chaos. Theremin squeals, Bonham's fills like earthquakes. They played it at Live Aid 85 with Phil Collins and Tony Thompson drumming. Page griped Collins botched it. Then the '88 Atlantic Bash and '07-02 reunion with Jason Bonham, proving the fire still burned. Enduring impact? This track birthed heavy metal's blueprint, all swagger and sex, influencing everyone from hair metal to grunge. VH1 dubs it third greatest hard rock song. Rolling Stone slots it 75 on their 500 greatest, later 128. Grammy Hall of Fame in '07, Rock and Roll Hall's Shaping Songs in '94. Ripple Effects, CCS's instrumental cover hits UK 13 in '70, becomes Top of the Pops theme for years. Irony, since Zepp never graced the show, too cool for lip sync. Tina Turner belts it on Acid Queen in '75. Goldbug samples it to UK number 3 in '96. Quirky Aftermath, 2008. Beijing Olympics closing. Page shreds with Leona Lewis, warbling a sanitized "Every Bit of My Love" instead of "Every Inch," because nothing says handover like toning down the raunch. Nike drops it in a 2025 Super Bowl ad with badass women athletes tagline "You can't win, so win." And that shark story? Tour manager Richard Cole catches a mud snapper. Shenanigans ensue with a groupie, verified excess. But let's respect the genius amid the grit. What if they'd stuck to tea and biscuits? Rock would have been a whole lot of boring. One last zinger. Ever think Backdoor Man is just about sneaking in? Nah, it's Dixon's blues code for the side dude slipping out unseen. Plant flips it into pure innuendo, making every listener wink. This song's not just history, it's the pulse of rock's wild heart. If this romp through Zepp's wild ride got your blood pumping, smash that subscribe button, hit like if you're feeling that Lotta Love, and drop a comment. What's your craziest live Zepp memory? Share this with your mates who still crank 2 on vinyl. Until next time, keep the lore alive. Rock on, you legends.